Legal disclaimer. The following content is produced and distributed strictly for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, tax, legal, or accounting advice. The strategies, numerical examples, and historical data presented herein are theoretical and intended to illustrate financial concepts. They may not apply to your specific personal or business situation. Financial laws, tax codes, and contribution limits are subject to change and vary by jurisdiction. Investing in securities, retirement accounts, or real estate involves a significant risk of loss, including the potential loss of principal. Past performance of any market, asset class, or strategy is never indicative of future results. The narrator and the production team are not registered financial advisors, certified public accountants, or fiduciaries. Before making any financial decisions, opening retirement accounts, or altering your tax filing status, you are strongly advised to conduct your own due diligence and consult with a qualified professional advisor who understands your specific financial profile. You assume full responsibility for any actions taken based on the information provided in this presentation. There is a silent crisis devastating the American creator economy, and almost nobody is talking about it because it hides behind the glossy facade of high revenue. We celebrate the six-figure freelancer, the agency owner scaling to $1 million, and the consultant billing $500 an hour. We see the revenue screenshots on Twitter and the lifestyle vlogs on Instagram. But if you peel back the layers of those business bank accounts, you will find a terrifying statistical reality. The vast majority of self-employed Americans are sprinting toward a financial cliff. Here is the brutal truth that might make you want to click away, but I urge you to stay. Being your own boss is the single greatest wealth-building vehicle in the United States, yet it is also the statistically most dangerous path to poverty in old age. Recent data suggests that nearly 40% of self-employed individuals have absolutely zero retirement savings. Not little savings. Zero. Why does this happen? It is not because they aren't making money. It is because of a fatal flaw in the entrepreneurial mindset, known as the reinvestment trap. You convince yourself that your business is your retirement plan. You tell yourself that you will sell the company for a lump sum in 20 years, or that you will just keep working because you love what you do. But historical trends suggest that industries shift, burnout happens, and valuations crash. If your only retirement asset is a business that requires your active input to generate revenue, you do not have a retirement plan. You have a job that you cannot quit. Most self-employed people are operating with a W-2 mindset in a 1099 world, and it is costing them hundreds of thousands, potentially millions, in lost compound growth and unnecessary tax payments. When you work a standard corporate job, the system is designed to save you from yourself. The 401k is automatic. The match is free money. The taxes are withheld before you even see the paycheck. The friction is removed. But the moment you stepped out on your own, that safety net vanished. Now, you are the CEO, the CFO, and the HR department. Every dollar you save for the future is a dollar you have to physically decide not to spend on marketing, not to spend on new equipment, and not to take home as profit today. That psychological friction is the reason why someone earning $200,000 a year as a consultant can end up with a lower net worth at age 65 than a middle manager earning $80,000 a year who simply utilized the standard corporate infrastructure. However, the narrative does not have to end there. In fact, the system that seems rigged against you is actually designed to reward you, provided you understand the complex levers of the U.S. tax code. The government realizes that small business owners take on outsized risks, and in exchange, the Internal Revenue Code offers outsized rewards, tax shelters, and retirement vehicles that are legally unavailable to the average employee. If you are operating as a sole proprietor, an LLC, or an S-corp, you have access to supercharged retirement accounts that allow you to stash away massive amounts of capital, far exceeding the contribution limits placed on standard corporate employees. We are talking about the potential to shelter nearly $70,000 a year, or in some advanced cases involving defined benefit plans, hundreds of thousands of dollars annually, completely tax-deferred. Imagine what your life looks like a decade from now if you could legally hide $50,000 of your income from the IRS every single year, and instead of paying that money in taxes, you paid it to your future self, allowing it to compound in the market. This is not a loophole. This is not a gray area. This is the explicit design of the tax code for business owners who are sophisticated enough to move beyond a simple savings account. Over the course of this deep dive masterclass, we are going to dismantle the fear and confusion surrounding self-employed retirement. We are not just going to talk about saving money. That is generic advice you can get anywhere. We are going to construct a fortress of financial independence using the 5 most powerful strategies available to US-based business owners. We will analyze the Solo 401k, a vehicle so powerful it makes the standard Roth look like a child's piggy bank. We will break down the SEP IRA, the easiest and most flexible tool for high-income earners who want to slash their tax bill immediately with minimal paperwork. We will explore the nuances of the health savings account, the only triple tax-advantaged vehicle in existence, and how entrepreneurs can weaponize it for long-term growth. We will even venture into the complex but lucrative world of defined benefit plans for those of you who are crushing it with high margins and need to aggressively lower your taxable income. But more importantly, we are going to address the strategy of allocation. It is not enough to just open the account. You need to know how to structure your cash flow so that funding your retirement does not choke your business's operating capital. We will look at case studies of freelancers who automated their wealth building, effectively turning their unpredictable variable income into a predictable wealth-generating machine. The promise of this video is simple. By the time we finish this series, you will have a step-by-step blueprint to move from a cash flow-dependent hustler to a wealth-building capitalist. You will understand how to reduce your current year's tax liability significantly, effectively having the government subsidize your retirement savings. You will learn how to protect your assets and how to build a safety net that exists independently of your ability to work. The strategies we are about to discuss are the exact same frameworks used by high-net-worth business owners to preserve wealth across generations. The barrier to entry is not money. The barrier is knowledge. Most accountants are reactive. They file your taxes based on what you did last year. They rarely call you up in June to tell you how to structure your contributions for the maximizing of future wealth. That is your job. You have to be the captain of this ship. If you have been ignoring your retirement because the business is growing, or because you'll deal with it next year, this is your wake-up call. Next year is the most expensive phrase in the English language when it comes to compound interest. Every year you wait is not just a year of lost savings. It is a year of lost doubling time that you can never get back. We are going to start this journey by stripping away the jargon. No confusing bank speak. No intimidating acronyms without clear, plain English explanations. We are going deep. We are going to look at the numbers, the limits, the deadlines, and the eligibility requirements. Prepare yourself to change the way you view your business income. It is no longer just about how much you can bill. It is about how much you can keep. The difference between being rich and being wealthy is what you do with the margin. And for the self-employed American, that margin is where the battle is won or lost. To win that battle for your margin, we have to deploy our first heavy artillery strategy. This is the financial vehicle that acts as the gateway drug for high-net-worth solopreneurs. It is the strategy that takes you from saving a little bit here and there to aggressively sheltering 5-figure sums from the IRS. We are talking about the SEP IRA, or the Simplified Employee Pension Individual Retirement Account. If the standard Roth IRA is a bicycle, reliable, good for beginners but speed limited, the SEP IRA is a luxury sedan. It is comfortable, it handles high speeds with ease, and it is designed for people who are serious about covering a lot of distance very quickly. Most Americans are conditioned to believe that saving for retirement means putting away $6,000 or $7,000 a year. That is the limit for a traditional or Roth IRA. For an employee making $50,000 a year, that limit makes sense. But you are not an employee. You are a business entity. And because you are a business entity, the tax code allows you to play by a completely different set of rules. Here is the scenario that plays out across kitchen tables every April. You meet with your accountant. They tell you that you had a great year. You gross $200,000. You feel successful. Then they slide a piece of paper across the table showing what you owe the federal and state government. The number makes you physically ill. You ask, is there anything I can do to lower this? And if it is April 14th, usually the answer is not much. But if you had established a SEP IRA, the conversation would be radically different. The SEP IRA allows you to contribute up to 25% of your compensation, or nearly $70,000, whichever is less, into a tax-deferred account. Let that sink in. While your friends with W-2 jobs are capped at a relatively small contribution limit, you have the potential to shield 10 times that amount. Let's look at a theoretical case study to see how this moves the needle in the real world. Imagine a freelance software developer named Elena. Elena operates as a single-member LLC and nets $150,000 in profit after expenses. If Elena does nothing, that entire $150,000 is exposed to income tax. However, Elena is smart. She opens a SEP IRA. Because she is a sole proprietor, the calculation is slightly nuanced. She contributes approximately 20% of her net adjusted earnings. For the sake of this example, let's say she writes a check to her future self for $28,000. Here is where the magic happens. That $28,000 vanishes from her taxable income for the year. The IRS now views her income not as $150,000, but as $122,000. If Elena is in a 24% marginal tax bracket, she just saved herself nearly $7,000 in actual cash that would have otherwise gone to the Treasury. Think about the return on investment there. Before the money is even invested in the S&P 500 or a bond fund, she has generated a guaranteed return simply by not paying the taxman. She kept the principal and she kept the tax savings. This is how the wealthy compound money. They use tax efficiency as the first layer of return. One of the most attractive features of the SEP IRA, and the reason it is the first strategy we are covering, is its administrative simplicity. There are no complex annual filings with the government like you have with the 401k. There is no steep setup fee. You can walk into almost any major brokerage, Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, and open one in about 15 minutes with a PDF form. It is low friction. However, the SEP IRA has a superpower that almost no other account has, and this is critical for entrepreneurs with variable income. It allows for time travel. Most retirement contributions for a given year must be made by the end of that calendar year. But the SEP IRA plays by the tax filing deadline, including extensions. This means if you had a banner year in 2023, you can technically wait until October 15th of 2024 to fund your SEP IRA for 2023, provided you filed a tax extension. Why does this matter? Because as a business owner, you often do not know your true profit margin until the accountant is done crunching the numbers. The SEP IRA allows you to look back at the previous year, see exactly how much cash you have available, see exactly how big your tax bill is, and then retroactively decide how much to contribute to wipe out that tax liability. You are making financial decisions with 20/20 hindsight. This flexibility is invaluable when you are scaling and cash flow is unpredictable. But, and this is a massive but that you need to understand before you rush out to open one, the SEP IRA has a fatal flaw for a specific type of business owner. It is called the non-discrimination rule. The name Simplified Employee Pension implies that it is for employees. If you are a solopreneur with no staff, you are the only employee, so you get all the benefits. But the moment you hire a full-time employee who meets certain eligibility requirements, usually someone who has worked for you for 3 of the last 5 years and is over age 21, you are legally mandated to contribute the same percentage to their retirement that you contribute to your own. Let's go back to Elena. She scales up. She hires an office manager, Mark, and pays him $60,000 a year. If Elena wants to contribute 20% of her income to her own SEP IRA to save on taxes, she is legally required to write a check for 20% of Mark's salary into his SEP IRA. That is a $12,000 expense she might not have budgeted for. This is where the strategy requires foresight. The SEP IRA is often the perfect vessel for the army of one: the consultant, the freelancer, the solo agent. It is an incredible wealth accumulator for the lean business model. But if your goal is to build an agency with 5 or 10 staff members, the SEP IRA can quickly become golden handcuffs, forcing you to pay massive benefits to your staff just so you can save for yourself. Experts analyze this trade-off constantly. If you plan to stay solo, the SEP is your best friend. If you plan to scale labor, you might outgrow this vehicle very quickly. Furthermore, it is important to note that the SEP IRA is purely a tax-deferred vehicle. You get the tax break today, the money grows tax-free, but you pay ordinary income tax when you pull it out in retirement. There is usually no Roth option for a SEP IRA. Though recent legislation is starting to introduce the concept, it is not yet widely adopted or operationally simple at most brokerages. This means you are betting that your tax rate is higher today than it will be in retirement. For many high-income entrepreneurs earning in the peak years of their careers, this is a safe bet. You are deferring taxes from your highest earning years to your lower-income retirement years. But what if you want the best of both worlds? What if you want the high contribution limits of a business owner, but you also want the option to pay taxes now and never pay them again like a Roth? And what if you want to borrow money from your own retirement plan to reinvest in your business, something the SEP IRA strictly forbids? There is a vehicle that exists. It is often called the Ferrari of retirement accounts. It solves the employee problem, it unlocks the Roth backdoor, and it even allows you to become your own bank. It is slightly more complex to set up, but for the savvy entrepreneur, the juice is worth the squeeze. Most people are intimidated by it because it sounds like a corporate tool, but it is specifically designed for the self-employed. In the next section, we are going to pop the hood on the solo 401k, and I will show you how it can potentially double your retirement efficiency compared to the SEP we just discussed. You will see why those who graduate from a SEP to a solo 401k rarely look back. If the SEP IRA is the luxury sedan of retirement planning, the solo 401k is the Formula One race car. It is precision engineered, requires a bit more skill to operate, and is capable of performance that simply isn't possible with a standard vehicle. For the self-employed individual with no full-time employees other than a spouse, this is, without question, the most powerful retirement chassis allowed by the U.S. tax code. The reason the solo 401k, sometimes called the individual 401k or one-participant 401k, reigns supreme lies in its unique two-hat structure. To understand this, you have to mentally split yourself in half. On one side, you are the employee of your business. On the other side, you are the employer. In a SEP IRA, you can only contribute as the employer. That is a limiting factor because your contribution is strictly tied to a percentage of your profit. If you have a slow year, your ability to save for retirement throttles down aggressively. The solo 401k completely changes this dynamic because it allows you to contribute in two distinct buckets simultaneously. Bucket number one is the employee deferral. Just like a corporate worker at Microsoft or Google, you act as the employee of your own company. This allows you to contribute a flat dollar amount, up to $23,000 based on current limits, and even more if you are over age 50, regardless of how high or low your profit percentage is, provided you earned at least that much in net income. This is a game changer for businesses with lower gross revenue but high savings rates. Bucket number two is the employer profit sharing. This functions exactly like the SEP IRA we just discussed. As the boss, you can add another 20 to 25% of your net earnings on top of that initial employee deferral. Let's run a comparative simulation to see the massive difference in capital efficiency. Consider a freelance graphic designer named David. David is having a moderate year and nets $80,000. If David uses the SEP IRA strategy from the previous section, he is capped at roughly 20% of his net adjusted earnings. He can put away approximately $16,000. That is decent, but for someone trying to catch up on retirement, it feels slow. Now imagine David sets up a solo 401k. First, he puts on his employee hat and contributes the full $23,000 maximum deferral. Right out of the gate, he has already beaten the SEP IRA. But he isn't done. He puts on his employer hat and contributes 20% of the remaining profit. When the dust settles, David might be able to shelter nearly $39,000 of his $80,000 income. Do you see the disparity? Same income, same business, but because he chose the superior vehicle, he was able to shelter more than double the amount of cash from taxes. He essentially forced his effective tax rate into the floor, while accelerating his wealth trajectory by years. But the benefits of the solo 401k extend far beyond just contribution limits. We need to talk about the Roth option. With a standard SEP IRA, you are generally locked into tax-deferred status. You get the tax break now, but you owe the IRS later. The solo 401k typically offers a Roth provision for the employee deferral portion. This means you can choose to pay taxes on that initial $23,000 today, put it into the account, and then never pay a single cent of tax on that money ever again. Not on the growth, not on the dividends, and not on the withdrawal. If you believe that tax rates in the United States are likely to go up in the next 20 years, a sentiment shared by many economists given the national debt, locking in a Roth strategy now could be the single smartest hedge you make against future government policy. Now let's discuss the feature that makes real estate investors and aggressive entrepreneurs drool: the loan provision. One of the biggest psychological hurdles to locking money away in retirement accounts is the liquidity trap. You worry that if you put $50,000 into a retirement account, you won't be able to touch it if your business needs cash for an emergency or a massive opportunity. With an IRA, that fear is valid. If you pull money out early, you get hit with taxes and a 10% penalty. It is painful. The solo 401k solves this. Most plan documents allow you to act as your own bank. You can take a loan from your own 401k balance, up to 50% of the account value or $50,000, whichever is less. Here is why this is revolutionary. You are not withdrawing the money, you are borrowing it. There are no taxes due. There are no penalties. You simply write a check from your retirement trust to your business checking account. You then pay yourself back over 5 years with interest. But here is the kicker: you are paying the interest to yourself. The interest rate is usually prime plus 1 or 2%, and every dime of that interest goes back into your retirement account. You are essentially capitalizing on your own need for liquidity. Imagine you find a piece of equipment at a distress sale for $30,000 that you know will double your revenue, but you are cash poor. If your money is in a SEP IRA, you are stuck. If your money is in a solo 401k, you cut yourself a check, buy the equipment, boost your revenue, and pay your retirement account back with the profits. You have turned your retirement savings into an active working capital facility. There is one final multiplier effect of the solo 401k that we must address: the spouse strategy. If your spouse does legitimate work for your business, bookkeeping, scheduling, management, they can also join the solo 401k. This is not a loophole. They must be a legitimate employee earning a fair wage. But if they are, they get their own separate limit. They get their own $23,000 employee deferral. They get their own employer match. This means a husband and wife team operating a successful small business could theoretically stash away nearly $140,000 in a single year into tax-advantaged accounts if they both maximize their contributions, assuming they are under 50. That is a staggering amount of wealth protection that can shift a family's financial destiny in just 5 to 7 years. So what is the catch? Why doesn't everyone do this? The barrier is administrative friction. A SEP IRA is just a brokerage account. A solo 401k is a genuine trust. You need a plan sponsor. You need an employer identification number. And critically, once your plan assets exceed $250,000, you must file Form 5500 Easy with the IRS every year. It is an informational return, not a tax return. But if you forget to file it, the penalties are draconian, hundreds of dollars per day. This scares off the lazy. But you are not lazy. You are building an empire. The slight administrative headache of filing one form a year is a microscopic price to pay for the ability to double your savings rate and access your own capital tax-free via loans. However, both the SEP and the solo 401k focus on the same thing: saving cash. But there is a looming threat in retirement that neither of these accounts addresses directly. It is the #1 cause of bankruptcy in the United States, and it can wipe out $1 million portfolio in less than 3 years if you aren't protected. Most entrepreneurs ignore this next vehicle because they think it is just for buying Band-Aids and prescription glasses. They are wrong. It is actually a stealth retirement account with triple tax advantages that even the Roth 401k cannot match. In the next part, we are going to reveal how to weaponize your health insurance to build a tax-free investment pot that the IRS can't touch, and why the smartest investors in the room are maxing this out before they even look at their 401k. We have arrived at the strategy that financial insiders often refer to as the unicorn of the tax code. It is rare, it is misunderstood, and for the uninitiated it seems too good to be true. We are talking about the Health Savings Account, or HSA. If you are like most Americans, you probably view an HSA as a boring administrative necessity, a digital debit card you swipe at the pharmacy to save 20% on cold medicine or to pay for a copay at the doctor's office. You see it as a spending account. And if that is how you are using it, you are practically setting money on fire. The sophisticated self-employed investor does not view the HSA as a spending account. They view it as a stealth IRA with superpowers. To understand why, we have to look at the tax geometry of every other retirement account we have discussed. Think about the traditional IRA or 401k. You get a tax break when you put the money in, but you pay taxes when you take it out. The government gets you at the exit. Now think about the Roth IRA. You pay taxes today, but you take the money out tax-free later. The government gets you at the entrance. In both scenarios, the IRS takes a bite of the apple. The HSA is the only vehicle in the American financial system that offers the triple crown of tax advantages. #1, you get a tax deduction when you contribute the money, lowering your taxable income today. #2, the money grows tax-free if you invest it. #3, the money comes out 100% tax-free, provided it is used for qualified medical expenses. Tax-free in, tax-free growth, tax-free out. The IRS never touches the apple. Not a single bite. This mathematical anomaly makes the HSA, dollar for dollar, the most efficient investment vehicle in existence. But here is where the strategy shifts from saving to wealth building. The mistake 99% of people make is using the HSA to pay for current medical expenses. Let's create a scenario to illustrate the shoebox strategy. Imagine a self-employed graphic designer named Marcus. Marcus is 35 years old. He contributes the maximum allowed amount to his HSA. For individuals in 2024, that is $4,150. A month later, Marcus needs a dental procedure that costs $1,000. The average Joe uses his HSA debit card, pays the $1,000, and feels smart because he used pre-tax money. The balance in his HSA drops. The compounding stops on that $1,000 forever. Marcus, the wealth builder, does something different. He pays the $1,000 out of his own pocket using his standard checking account. He leaves the money in the HSA alone. He does not touch it. Instead, he logs into his HSA provider and invests that balance into a low-cost index fund, tracking the total stock market. Then, and this is the critical step, he takes the receipt for his dental work, scans it, and saves it in a digital folder labeled HSA reimbursements. Why did he do this? Because under current tax law, there is no statute of limitations on when you can reimburse yourself from an HSA. You can incur a medical expense in 2024 and reimburse yourself for it in 2054. Fast forward 30 years. Marcus is now 65. That $1,000 he left in the account, assuming a conservative 7% annual return, has grown to nearly $8,000. Marcus can now withdraw $1,000 completely tax-free to reimburse himself for that dental visit he had 30 years ago. He has just accessed tax-free liquidity. But what about the other $7,000 of growth? That money stays in the pot, continuing to compound for future healthcare costs. This is vital because healthcare is likely to be your single largest expense in retirement. Fidelity Investments releases an annual report on retiree healthcare costs, and recent data suggests that the average 65-year-old couple retiring today will need approximately $315,000 in after-tax savings just to cover medical expenses in retirement. And that number does not include long-term care. If you are saving for retirement in a traditional 401k, you have to pull out significantly more than $300,000 to pay those bills because you have to pay taxes on the withdrawal first. If you are in a 25% tax bracket, you need to withdraw $400,000 just to net $300,000 for the doctors. With an HSA, you pull out exactly what you need. It is a 30% efficiency hack on your biggest future liability. But the skeptics always ask, what if I get really healthy? What if I don't have medical bills? Does the money get stuck? This is the final piece of the puzzle that makes the HSA a stealth IRA. Once you turn 65, the HSA penalty for non-medical withdrawals disappears. If you withdraw money for a non-medical reason, say to buy a boat or go on a cruise, you simply pay ordinary income tax on the withdrawal. Does that sound familiar? It should. That is exactly how a traditional 401k or IRA works. So, in the worst-case scenario, where you are perfectly healthy and have no medical bills, the HSA simply turns into a standard retirement account at age 65. In the best-case scenario, it remains a tax-free fortress for healthcare costs. It is a heads-you-win, tails-you-don't-lose proposition. Now, there are eligibility guardrails you must respect. To open and contribute to an HSA, you must be enrolled in a high-deductible health plan, HDHP. For many self-employed people, this is actually the default choice because the premiums are generally lower than low-deductible copay plans. You are essentially trading higher potential out-of-pocket costs for the ability to access this investment vehicle. Experts analyze this trade-off and often find that for healthy individuals who can afford to pay the deductible if an emergency strikes, the long-term tax benefits of the HSA far outweigh the higher deductible risk. Furthermore, many self-employed people fail to realize that FICA taxes, Social Security and Medicare taxes, are often not avoided with standard retirement contributions. However, if you can set up your HSA contributions through a payroll deduction if you file as an S-Corp, you might even be able to bypass FICA taxes on those contributions, adding another 7.65% to your savings. That is a technical nuance, but in the game of wealth, inches matter. So let's recap the HSA protocol for the self-employed. Step 1. Ensure you have a qualifying high-deductible health plan. Step 2. Open an HSA with a provider that allows for investing, not just a savings account earning 0.1% interest. You want exposure to the market. Step 3. Max out the contribution every single year. Treat it as a non-negotiable bill. Step 4. Pay for all current medical expenses out of pocket. Do not touch the HSA balance. Step 5. Save every single medical receipt digitally. Back it up. These are your tickets to tax-free withdrawals in the future. By following this, you are building a dedicated healthcare endowment that protects your other assets. You are ensuring that a hospital stay in your 70s doesn't drain your 401k. But we have to face a reality here. The HSA contribution limits are low. In 2024, an individual is capped around $4,000. A family is capped around $8,000. The solo 401k caps out around $69,000. For 90% of business owners, these limits are sufficient. You fill these buckets and you are set for life. However, there is a specific subset of you watching this right now. You are the high performers. The agency owners, the specialized consultants, the medical practitioners in private practice. You are netting $300,000, $500,000, maybe $1 million a year. You look at the $69,000 limit of the solo 401k and you think, that's not enough. You have a massive tax bill, maybe 6 figures, and you need a bigger shelter. You need a way to put away $200,000 or more in a single year tax deferred. Most people think that is illegal. It is not. It is the nuclear option of retirement planning. It is complex, it is expensive to set up, and it requires an actuary to sign off on it. But if you qualify, it can virtually wipe out your tax bill while building a multi-million-dollar pension in record time. In the next part, we are going to explore the defined benefit plan, the heavy artillery for the ultra-high-income solopreneur. If the solo 401k is a race car, the defined benefit plan is an industrial-grade boring machine. It is heavy, it is expensive to operate, and it is not designed for speed, it is designed to move mountains. Specifically, mountains of taxable income. This strategy is not for everyone. In fact, for the vast majority of freelancers earning under $200,000 a year, this tool is overkill. It is like using a sledgehammer to crack a walnut. You will get the job done, but it will be messy and inefficient. But for the high-income consultant, the medical specialist, or the boutique agency owner who is consistently netting $300,000, $500,000, or even 7 figures a year, the defined benefit plan is the only mathematical way to catch up on lost time. We call this the time machine of retirement planning. Here is the fundamental difference. A 401k or SEP IRA is a defined contribution plan. The IRS sets a limit on how much you can put in, for example, $69,000. You put the money in and you hope it grows into a large sum. The outcome is uncertain. A defined benefit plan flips the equation entirely. Instead of limiting what goes in, the IRS limits what comes out. You effectively tell the government, I want to retire at age 62 with a guaranteed annual pension of $265,000 a year. You then hire an actuary, a math wizard who specializes in risk and probability. The actuary looks at your age, your income, and current interest rates, and they calculate how much money you need to contribute today to mathematically guarantee that payout in the future. Because the goal is a guaranteed pension if you are older, say in your late 40s or 50s, and you haven't saved enough, the math dictates that you must contribute massive sums to reach that goal. The IRS allows these massive contributions because they are actuarially necessary. Let's look at a case study to illustrate the sheer power of this. Meet Dr. Vance, a 52-year-old specialized chiropractor with his own practice. Dr. Vance spent his 30s paying off student loans and his 40s building his business. He has very little saved for retirement, but his practice is now a cash cow, netting him $600,000 a year. If Dr. Vance uses a solo 401k, he is capped at roughly $76,000, including catch-up contributions. He pays taxes on the remaining $524,000. At a combined federal and state tax rate of 40%, he is sending over $200,000 to the government. Now imagine Dr. Vance sets up a defined benefit plan. His actuary runs the numbers and says, to give you a substantial pension at 62, you can contribute $250,000 into the plan this year. You heard that correctly, $250,000. Dr. Vance writes the check. His taxable income drops from $600,000 to $350,000. He just saved himself $100,000 in actual tax payments for the current year. Instead of giving that $100,000 to the IRS, he kept it in his own retirement trust. But it gets better. You can often stack a defined benefit plan on top of a solo 401k. This is often called a combo plan. By utilizing the correct cross-testing calculations, Dr. Vance might be able to put away the $250,000 into the pension plus another $40,000 or so into the 401k. We are talking about sheltering nearly $300,000 of income in a single calendar year. This is how the wealthy compress 30 years of saving into 10 years. However, there is a reason this is called the nuclear option. Nuclear power is efficient, but if you mishandle it, it melts down. The defined benefit plan comes with a massive string attached. The contributions are generally mandatory. With a solo 401k or SEP, if you have a bad business year, you can simply contribute zero. No harm, no foul. With a defined benefit plan, you have signed a contract with your future self that the IRS enforces. If the actuary says you need to put in $150,000 this year to keep the plan funded, you must put in $150,000. If your business only made $100,000, you are in trouble. You might have to pull from personal savings to fund the plan. This means this strategy is strictly for entrepreneurs with consistent, predictable, and high cash flow. It is not for the feast or famine realtor who makes $500,000 one year and $50,000 the next. Furthermore, the costs are higher. You cannot just open this at Fidelity for free. You need a third-party administrator (TPA) and an actuary. Expect to pay $2,000 to $5,000 a year in administration fees. But do the math. If you are paying $3,000 in fees to save $100,000 in taxes, that is a 33-to-1 return on your investment before the market even moves. That is a trade any rational business owner makes every day of the week. The assets inside the plan are also managed differently. Because the payout is promised, the investment strategy tends to be more conservative. You aren't YOLOing into volatile tech stocks or crypto inside a defined benefit plan. If your investments tank, your required contribution for the next year goes up to make up the shortfall. Conversely, if your investments skyrocket, your allowable tax-deductible contribution for the next year goes down because you are ahead of schedule. This self-correcting mechanism is why this strategy requires constant professional oversight. It is not a set-it-and-forget-it account. It is a living financial organism that changes based on interest rates, your age, and market performance. Typically, these plans are designed to last for 5 to 10 years, often the peak earning years before retirement or a business exit. When you are ready to retire or shut down the plan, you don't usually take the monthly pension, though you can. Most entrepreneurs choose to terminate the plan and roll the entire massive balance, potentially millions of dollars, into a traditional IRA. From there, it continues to grow tax-deferred, and you control how it is invested and withdrawn. So who is this for? 1. You are typically over age 40. The older you are, the higher the contribution limits because you have less time to compound the money. 2. You are consistently in the highest tax brackets. 3. You have surplus cash flow that you literally do not need for lifestyle expenses. If that sounds like you are leaving 6 figures of wealth on the table every year you do not have this in place. Experts suggest that for the right candidate, the defined benefit plan is the single most effective tax reduction tool in the U.S. Code. We have now covered the 4 main vessels: the SEP for simplicity, the solo 401k for power and flexibility, the HSA for health-specific efficiency, and the defined benefit plan for massive catch-up contributions. But having the best car in the world doesn't matter if you don't know where you are driving. Or worse, if you run out of gas halfway to your destination. There is a gaping hole in the strategies we have discussed so far. All of them, except the principal contributions to the Roth, lock your money away until age 59 and a half. If you are an entrepreneur who plans to retire early, say at 45 or 50, and you have locked all your net worth into these government-restricted boxes, you are going to be asset-rich and cash-poor, facing massive penalties to access your own money. You need a bridge. You need a strategy number 5, that allows you to cross the gap between your business exit and your official retirement age without begging the IRS for permission. In the next section, we are going to break down the taxable bridge strategy and why the most liberated retirees often hold half their wealth outside of retirement accounts entirely. We have spent the last 4 segments constructing a fortress of tax-advantaged accounts. We have built the solo 401k tower, the HSA bunker, and the defined benefit plan vault. These are formidable structures. They protect your wealth from the immediate assault of the IRS. But they all share a common critical architectural flaw that can trap the ambitious entrepreneur: the age 59 and a half rule. The government does not give you these tax breaks out of the kindness of its heart. It gives them to you as a behavioral bribe. The deal is simple. We will give you a tax break today, but you cannot touch this money until you are nearly 60. If you try to access your solo 401k or traditional IRA funds at age 45 because you want to retire early, sell your business, and travel the world, the system punishes you. You will face ordinary income taxes plus a 10% early withdrawal penalty. It is a double tap to your wealth that can destroy the viability of an early retirement plan. This is where strategy number 5 comes in. It is the taxable bridge. The taxable bridge is exactly what it sounds like. It is a pool of assets held in a standard, taxable brokerage account that acts as a financial bridge between the day you stop working and the day you can legally access your retirement accounts without penalty. For the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early, this isn't optional. It is mandatory. But here is the secret that wealthy investors know. A taxable brokerage account, if managed correctly, can sometimes be more tax efficient than a retirement account. How is that possible? It comes down to the difference between ordinary income and long-term capital gains. When you pull money out of a traditional 401k or SEP IRA in retirement, every single dollar is taxed as ordinary income. That means it is taxed at the same rate as your wages. If tax rates skyrocket in the future to fund national deficits, your retirement withdrawals will be taxed at those high rates. You have zero control over that variable. However, in a taxable brokerage account, you are taxed on capital gains. Currently, the U.S. tax code favors capital over labor. If you hold an asset like an S&P 500 index fund or a share of Apple stock for more than 1 year before selling it, you qualify for long-term capital gains rates. These rates are 0%, 15%, or 20%. Let's zoom in on that 0% bracket because it is the holy grail of early retirement. Imagine a couple, Sarah and Mike, who retire at age 50. They have a massive solo 401k, but they can't touch it. Luckily, they have built a taxable bridge portfolio worth $1 million. They need $80,000 a year to live comfortably. They sell enough stock in their taxable account to generate that $80,000. Here is the math that blows people's minds. Under current tax laws, a married couple filing jointly can have a taxable income of up to approximately $94,000 in 2024, consisting of long-term capital gains, and pay $0 in federal income tax. Sarah and Mike just lived a middle-class lifestyle, pulled 80 grand from their portfolio, and paid the IRS absolutely nothing. If they had pulled that same $80,000 from a traditional 401k, they would likely owe thousands in taxes. The taxable bridge didn't just provide liquidity, it provided a tax-free existence during their bridge years. But the benefits of the taxable account go deeper. We need to discuss tax loss harvesting. In a 401k or IRA, if the market crashes and your portfolio drops 20%, you just lose money. There is no silver lining. The paper loss is just a loss. In a taxable account, a market crash is a tax planning opportunity. Let's say you bought shares of a tech ETF for $50,000, and during a market correction, the value drops to $40,000. You have a $10,000 unrealized loss. A smart investor sells that ETF to realize the $10,000 loss and immediately buys a similar, but not identical ETF to stay invested in the market. Why do this? That $10,000 loss is now a tax asset. You can use it to offset other capital gains. If you sold a piece of real estate for a profit, you can use this stock loss to wipe out the taxes on that real estate gain. Even if you have no other gains, you can use up to $3,000 of that loss every year to offset your ordinary business income. You are essentially telling the IRS, I lost money in the stock market, so I shouldn't have to pay taxes on the money I made from my consulting business. You cannot do this in a 401k. This flexibility is unique to the taxable environment. Now let's talk about the buy, borrow, die strategy. This is the advanced tactic used by the ultra-wealthy to never pay taxes again. When you have a substantial taxable brokerage account, you have collateral. Banks and brokerages will let you borrow against that portfolio at relatively low interest rates. This is often called an SBLOC, securities-backed line of credit. Let's go back to our entrepreneur. She wants to buy a vacation home for $500,000. She has $2 million in her taxable brokerage account. She could sell $500,000 worth of stock. But if she does, she triggers a capital gains tax event. She might owe $75,000 in taxes just to get her own money out. Instead, she takes a margin loan or line of credit against her portfolio for $500,000. Loans are not income. Therefore, loans are not taxable. She gets the cash. She buys the house. She pays zero taxes. Meanwhile, her $2 million in stock stays invested, hopefully growing at 7 or 8%, essentially outpacing the interest rate on the loan. She is using the bank's money to live while her money works. Compare this to a 401k. While you can take a small loan from a solo 401k, it is capped at $50,000. In a taxable account, the only limit is the size of your portfolio and the bank's risk tolerance. You have turned your savings into a personal bank. Finally, there is the grim but financially critical concept of the step-up in basis. If you spend your whole life building a massive solo 401k and then die leaving it to your children, they inherit a tax bomb. When they withdraw the money, they pay income tax on every cent. But if you leave them a taxable brokerage account, a miracle happens in the tax code. The cost basis of the assets is stepped up to the value on the date of your death. If you bought Amazon stock in 1999 for $10 and it is worth $200 when you die, your heirs inherit it at the $200 basis. They can sell it the next day for $200 and pay zero capital gains tax. All that growth over your lifetime? Tax-free. Forever. This makes the taxable brokerage account the superior vehicle for generational wealth transfer. So the strategy for the holistic self-employed investor looks like this. Maximize the tax-advantaged buckets, solo 401k, HSA, to lower your current tax bill and build the age 60 safety net. Simultaneously, pour all excess free cash flow into a taxable brokerage account to build the bridge. This bridge gives you the option to retire at 45. It gives you access to tax loss harvesting during recessions. It gives you collateral for loans, and it creates a tax-free inheritance for your family. We have now defined the 5 containers. We have the SEP, the solo 401k, the HSA, the defined benefit plan, and the taxable brokerage. You know where to put the money, but a container is useless if you fill it with poison. The single biggest reason self-employed people fail at retirement isn't that they picked the wrong account. It is that they picked the wrong investments inside the account. They fall victim to founder's bias. They overconcentrate, or they play it too safe and get eaten by inflation. You are not an employee with a target date fund selected for you by HR. You are the chief investment officer. And if you don't understand asset location, which assets go in which bucket, you could be turning a tax-free account into a tax nightmare. In the next part, we are going to leave the tax code behind and enter the engine room of portfolio construction. We will discuss exactly what to buy, where to put it, and the 3-fund solution that beats 90% of hedge fund managers. You have built the bank. You have the solo 401k established, the HSA open, and the taxable brokerage account ready to bridge the gap. Now you face the decision that paralyzes millions of investors. What do you actually buy? The financial media industry is built on making this question seem impossibly complex. They want you to believe that you need to analyze price-to-earnings ratios, watch the Federal Reserve press conferences, and pick the next Amazon before it pops. For the self-employed professional, that mindset is not just wrong, it is dangerous. You must understand a fundamental truth about your financial profile that makes you different from a corporate employee. You are already long risk. Your primary asset, your business, is a concentrated high-risk bet. If you are a real estate agent, your income correlates with the housing market. If you are a tech consultant, your income correlates with the venture capital cycle. Your human capital is volatile. Therefore, your investment portfolio should not be a second source of stress. It should be the antidote to your business risk. It should be boring. It should be predictable. It should be the bedrock that remains solid, even when your business has a terrible quarter. Enter the 3-fund solution. This strategy, championed by financial luminaries and validated by decades of market data, suggests that you do not need complex hedge fund strategies to build wealth. You simply need to own the entire global economy. By purchasing just 3 specific types of low-cost index funds, you can outperform 90% of professional money managers over a 15-year horizon. Component number 1, the Total U.S. Stock Market Index Fund. When you buy this fund, you are not betting on Apple or Tesla or Nvidia. You are buying a tiny slice of every single publicly traded company in the United States. You are buying the innovators, the boring utility companies, the banks, and the retailers. You are betting on the aggregate productivity of American capitalism. Historical trends suggest that while individual companies go bankrupt, the market as a whole has marched upward for over a century despite wars, recessions, and pandemics. Component number 2, the Total International Stock Market Index Fund. This is where many American entrepreneurs fail. They suffer from home country bias. They assume the U.S. will always be the top performer. But history shows that market leadership rotates. In the 1980s, Japan dominated. In the 2000s, emerging markets surged. By holding an international index, you ensure that if the next Google is built in Zurich, or the next Samsung rises in Seoul, you profit from it. You are hedging your bet against the American dollar and the American economy. Component number 3. The Total Bond Market Fund. This is your parachute. Bonds are loans you make to governments and corporations. They pay you interest. They generally do not grow as fast as stocks, but they usually don't crash as hard either. When the stock market drops 30%, bonds often hold steady or even rise, giving you a psychological cushion that prevents you from panic selling at the bottom. For the self-employed, the ratio of these 3 funds, your asset allocation, is critical. A young entrepreneur with high risk tolerance might hold 90% stocks and 10% bonds. A 50-year-old business owner looking to preserve wealth might hold 60% stocks and 40% bonds. Experts analyze your specific timeline to determine this split, but the components remain the same. However, simply knowing what to buy is only half the battle. The secret sauce of the wealthy is knowing where to put them. This is called asset location, and getting it right can effectively boost your after-tax returns by over 1% annually without taking any extra risk. Think of your accounts as 3 different temperature zones: the tax-deferred zone, solo 401k/SEP, the tax-free zone, Roth, and the taxable zone, brokerage. You should not mirror your portfolio in every account. You should place specific assets in specific zones to minimize tax drag. Let's look at bonds and real estate investment trusts, REITs. These assets spit out regular income, interest and dividends. If you hold these in a taxable brokerage account, the IRS taxes that income every single year at your ordinary income tax rate. It is incredibly inefficient. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Therefore, the smart strategy is to place your bond funds and REITs inside your tax-deferred accounts like the traditional solo 401k or SEP IRA. The heavy tax burden of those interest payments is shielded by the account wrapper. You don't pay taxes on the income now, allowing it to compound faster. Now look at your highest growth assets, typically your total US stock market and small cap funds. These have the potential to double or triple over decades. You want that explosive growth to occur in your Roth IRA or Roth 401k. Why? Because you never pay taxes on the exit. If you put $10,000 of a high-growth tech index into a Roth and it grows to $100,000, that $90,000 of gain is free. If you had put your low-growth bonds in the Roth, you would be wasting that precious tax-free space on a low-return asset. Finally, what goes in the taxable brokerage, your bridge account? Here you want the most tax-efficient assets. Broad market index funds, like the total stock market ETF, are incredibly tax-efficient. They rarely sell the underlying stocks, so they generate very few capital gains distributions that you have to pay taxes on each year. They just sit there and grow. You only pay taxes when you decide to sell. This gives you control. Additionally, if you hold international funds in your taxable account, you can often claim the foreign tax credit, a special deduction for taxes paid to foreign governments, which you lose if you hold those funds in a retirement account. Let's illustrate this with a disaster scenario to show why it matters. Imagine an entrepreneur named Tom. Tom has $1 million. He puts everything in a taxable brokerage account. He buys a high-yield bond fund and an actively managed stock fund that trades frequently. Every year, the bond fund pays him $40,000 in interest. The IRS takes $14,000 of that in taxes. Every year, the active stock fund sells winners and sends him a bill for capital gains taxes. Even though Tom didn't sell a single share of the fund himself, Tom is experiencing tax drag. His portfolio is leaking money. Over 20 years, this inefficiency could cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost compounding. Now look at Sarah. Sarah uses the exact same funds but uses asset location. She puts the bonds in her solo 401k. No tax bill today. She puts the aggressive growth stocks in her Roth. No tax bill ever. She puts the efficient index funds in her brokerage. Minimal tax bill today. Sarah retires 2 years earlier than Tom, simply because she understood the geography of her accounts. This is the level of granularity that separates the casual saver from the wealth builder. You are not just throwing money at the wall. You are architecting a machine where every cog is placed for maximum efficiency. But there is a psychological trap we haven't discussed yet. It is the enemy of the 3-fund portfolio. It is the desire to tinker. As an entrepreneur, you are a problem solver. You are used to tweaking your website, optimizing your sales funnel, and adjusting your product. You are wired to be active. But in investing, activity is the enemy of returns. The more you touch your portfolio, the more likely you are to break it. You will be tempted to sell when the market drops. You will be tempted to buy the hot sector that everyone is talking about on Twitter. How do you protect yourself from your own entrepreneurial instincts? How do you ensure that this perfect portfolio actually gets funded every month without you having to make a conscious, painful decision to part with your cash? You need to remove the human element entirely. You need to build a system that bypasses your willpower. In the next part, we are going to discuss the automation protocol. I will show you how to set up a relentless, automated wealth transfer system that drains your business account into your investment accounts before you even wake up in the morning, effectively making your retirement inevitable. We have arrived at the point in our masterclass where strategy meets reality. You can have the most sophisticated solo 401k architecture in the world. You can have an asset allocation model designed by Nobel laureates. But all of that intellectual property is worthless if the money does not physically move from your business checking account into those investment vehicles. And here is the brutal truth about human nature. If you rely on your own willpower to make that transfer every month, you will fail. As an entrepreneur, you suffer from a specific cognitive bias known as opportunity cost anxiety. When you see $10,000 sitting in your business account, your brain does not see retirement savings. It sees a new marketing campaign. It sees a better camera for your studio. Sees a conference ticket. You rationalize keeping the cash just in case an opportunity arises. You tell yourself you will invest the excess at the end of the quarter. But as per Parkinson's law, expenses rise to meet income. By the end of the quarter, that money is gone, absorbed into the operational blob of your business. To break this cycle, we must install the automation protocol. This is not just about setting up a recurring transfer. It is about creating a system of artificial scarcity that forces your business to run leaner while your net worth explodes in the background. Let's break down the mechanics of this protocol for two different types of business owners: the consistent earner and the volatile earner. If you are a consistent earner, perhaps you have a retainer-based agency or a subscription model, you have the luxury of predictability. Your protocol should be hard-coded via payroll. Most smart self-employed high earners operate as an S-corp to save on self-employment taxes. This means you run payroll for yourself. Do not let that payroll hit your personal checking account and then try to save it. That is too late. The money is already in your hands, and you will spend it on lifestyle. Instead, you must log into your payroll provider, whether it is Gusto, ADP, or Paychex, and utilize the split deposit feature. This is a tool that allows you to fracture your paycheck before it ever touches your primary bank account. You set 50% to go to your checking account for living expenses. You set 20% to go directly to your high-yield savings account for your emergency fund. You set 10% to go directly to your HSA provider. And critically, you set your 401k employee deferral to be deducted automatically from the W-2 wages. By the time you open your personal banking app on Friday morning, the spending money you see is already net of your future wealth. You have paid your future self first. You learn to live on what is left. This creates a psychological firewall. You can't spend what you don't see. Now let's address the harder challenge: the volatile earner. This is the realtor, the project-based consultant, the creative freelancer. You might make $30,000 in March and $2,000 in April. Automating a fixed $5,000 transfer feels terrifying because it might overdraft your account in a lean month. So you do nothing. For you, we deploy the percentage sweep protocol. This requires a specific banking setup. You need two business checking accounts. Account A is your income receiver. All client payments, all Stripe deposits, all Upwork earnings hit this account. You never spend from account A. Account B is your operating expenses. This is where you pay for software, contractors, and rent. Every single Friday, you act as the CFO. You look at the balance in account A. You apply a strict rule, the rule of thirds. 1/3 moves to account B for operations. 1/3 moves to a separate tax holding savings account, because the IRS always eats first. 1/3 moves to your personal checking as your draw. Now, here is the automation trigger. Inside your personal checking, you set up an automated rule or use smart transfer features offered by modern fintech banks. The rule states, any deposit over $5,000 triggers a transfer of 20% of that deposit to the brokerage account. This dynamic automation means that in a big month you save huge. In a lean month you save nothing, but you also don't overdraft. You are matching your savings rate to your cash flow velocity. Case studies of freelancers who switched to this percentage sweep models suggest they save nearly 3 times more annually than those who try to save a fixed dollar amount, simply because they capture the upside of their windfall months immediately. But we need to go deeper into the employer contribution automation for the solo 401k. Remember, the employer contribution is based on profit, which you don't know until the end of the year. If you wait until December to fund this, you need to have a massive pile of cash ready. To prevent the December scramble, you should set up a shadow 401k savings account inside your business. Every month, when you review your profit and loss statement, take 20% of that month's net profit and move it to the shadow account. Do not invest it yet. Just park it. At the end of the year, your accountant gives you the final number. You look at your shadow account. The money is there. You write one massive check to the solo 401k plan. If the accountant says you can contribute less than you saved, great, you just gave yourself a year-end bonus with the leftover cash. If you hadn't saved it, you would have spent it and you would miss the tax deduction. Let's imagine a scenario to see the long-term impact of this removal of willpower. Take 2 videographers, Alex and Ben. Both earn $150,000 a year. Alex trusts his discipline. He says, "I'll save whatever is left at the end of the month." He feels rich. He leases a nicer car. He upgrades his apartment. He eats out. At the end of the month, there is usually about $500 left. He transfers it to Robinhood. Ben knows he has no discipline. He sets up the automation protocol. Every time a client pays an invoice, 20% disappears into a separate wealth bucket instantly. He never sees it. He feels broke constantly because his checking account is always hovering near zero. Because he feels broke, he hustles harder. He keeps his expenses low. Fast forward 10 years. Alex has saved $60,000 plus some meager growth. Ben, by forcing a 20% savings rate on $150,000, has put away $300,000 of principal alone. With compound interest at 8%, Ben is sitting on nearly $500,000. Same income, same profession, different protocol. Alex relied on willpower. Ben relied on a system. This protocol also protects you from market timing. When you automate your investments, buying $5,000 of the total stock market index every on the first of the month, you are practicing dollar cost averaging. When the market crashes, your $5,000 buys more shares. You are automatically buying the dip without having to summon the courage to do so. When the market is expensive, your $5,000 buys fewer shares, preventing you from going all in at the top. You are mathematically smoothing out your entry price. You remove the emotional urge to wait for the crash or ride the bubble. You just buy. Relentlessly. Mechanically. Unemotionally. This is how you turn a volatile freelance income into a boring, predictable wealth machine. You strip away the decision-making process. You treat your savings contribution like a tax. Mandatory, non-negotiable, and automated. However, even with the perfect accounts and the perfect automation, there is one massive asset that sits outside of this entire system. For most of you watching, this asset represents 80 to 90% of your net worth. But it is illiquid. It is risky. And if you don't have a specific plan for it, it could be worth absolutely zero the day you decide to retire. Most entrepreneurs make the fatal mistake of assuming this asset will fund their retirement, only to find out too late that nobody wants to buy it. In the next part, we are going to discuss the exit strategy. We will analyze how to make your business sellable, how to value it, and why your retirement number might be completely wrong if you are banking on a big buyout that never comes. This brings us to the most dangerous illusion in the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem. It is the myth of the golden parachute. Millions of self-employed Americans are currently operating under the assumption that their retirement savings don't matter because one day, they are going to sell their business for $5, $10, or $20 million. They look at headlines of tech startups getting acquired for billions and assume that a similar liquidity event is waiting for them at the end of their career. Here is the cold, hard reality that business brokers know but rarely talk about. Approximately 80% of small businesses listed for sale never sell. They simply close down. The inventory is liquidated for pennies on the dollar. The lease is terminated, and the owner walks away with nothing but their memories. Why does this happen? It happens because most self-employed individuals have not built a business. They have built a high-paying, stressful job for themselves. If you are the primary rainmaker, the lead strategist, and the face of the brand, your business is worth zero the moment you walk out the door. No investor is going to write a check for a client list that is only loyal to you personally. To turn your business into a legitimate retirement asset, a sellable security, you have to fundamentally change the way you operate, starting today. You have to stop optimizing for personal income and start optimizing for enterprise value. These are two very different metrics that often conflict with each other. Let's look at the valuation math because this is where dreams usually collide with spreadsheets. Most small businesses, service firms, agencies, brick-and-mortar shops are valued based on a multiple of seller discretionary earnings, or SD. This is essentially your net profit plus your salary and any personal add-backs. The average multiple for a business with under $5 million in revenue is not 10 times revenue. It is typically 2 to 3 times SD. Let's run a case study to see how shocking this can be. Imagine a consultant named Sarah. She is a powerhouse. She generates $500,000 a year in revenue. She has very few expenses, netting $400,000. She lives a great lifestyle. She assumes that because she makes $400,000 a year, her business must be worth at least $2 or $3 million. But when she goes to a broker, they ask her the bus question. If you got hit by a bus tomorrow, what happens to the revenue next month? Sarah admits that without her doing the work, the revenue stops. The broker gives her the valuation 0. The business is unsellable because it is not an asset. It is Sarah. Now compare that to an agency owner named Mike. Mike also generates $500,000 in revenue. But Mike nets only $100,000 because he spent the other $300,000 hiring a project manager, a sales rep, and a fulfillment team. Sarah thinks Mike is losing because he takes home less cash today. But Mike has documented standard operating procedures, SOPs. He has recurring contracts that do not require his signature. He can leave for a month and the business grows. A buyer looks at Mike's business and sees a machine that generates cash without the owner's labor. They might offer Mike a 4x multiple on his earnings. Sarah has high income but zero wealth. Mike has lower income but a sellable asset. If you want your business to be part 9 of your retirement strategy, you must begin the de-risking process immediately. This involves 3 non-negotiable steps. First, you must aggressively transfer your tribal knowledge into institutional knowledge. Every time you solve a problem, record a video. Every time you onboard a client, write a checklist. If the knowledge lives in your head, it is a liability. If it lives in a Notion database or a training portal, it is an asset. Buyers pay for certainty. They pay for a manual that guarantees the machine runs. If you don't have the manual, you don't have a product. Second, you must diversify your revenue concentration. If one client makes up 50% of your revenue, your business is considered high risk and will trade at a massive discount. If you lose that client, the business collapses. Buyers know this. Experts analyze these customer concentration risks and will often walk away from deals where no single client accounts for more than 10% of revenue. You need a broad base of recurring revenue, subscriptions, retainers, maintenance contracts to drive up your valuation multiple. Third, you need to fire yourself from the critical path. This is the hardest step for the ego. You need to prove that the business can sell and deliver without you. This usually means hiring a second in command or an operations manager effectively. You have to be willing to take a temporary pay cut to pay their salary, understanding that you are investing in the equity value of the company. But let's say you do all this. You build a sellable machine. You get an offer. Now you face the earnout trap. Rarely does a buyer hand you a suitcase full of cash and wish you luck. Usually, they will pay you 50% upfront and 50% over 3 years, contingent on the business hitting certain performance targets. This means you become an employee of the company you used to own. You have a boss again. If you clash with the new owners, or if they mismanage the business and miss the targets, you might never see that second half of the money. Historical trends in M&A show that a significant percentage of earnouts are never fully paid. This leads us to a sophisticated alternative strategy that many smart self-employed people prefer over a full sale: the internal buyout or the passive hold. Instead of selling to a stranger, you groom a key employee or a small management team to take over. You arrange a financing deal where they buy the business from you over 5 or 7 years, using the business's own profits. Or even better, you keep the equity. You hire a CEO to run the day-to-day. You step back to the role of chairman. You might only take home $50,000 a year in profit distributions instead of your previous $200,000, but you do zero work. That $50,000 is pure passive income. In retirement terms, a passive $50,000 income stream is equivalent to having $1.25 million in the bank earning 4% interest. Sometimes, keeping the golden goose is smarter than selling it for a one-time feast. However, if you do plan to sell, you must plan for the tax impact of the exit. This is where the Qualified Small Business Stock (QSBS) exemption comes into play. If your business is structured as a C corporation or an LLC taxed as a C corp and meets specific requirements, and you hold the stock for more than 5 years, you might be able to exclude up to $10 million, or 10 times your basis, of the capital gains from federal taxes. This is a massive potential windfall, but you have to set up the structure years in advance. You cannot retroactively fix this the week before the sale. This is why your legal entity structure matters from day one. We also have to talk about the lifestyle bloat valuation killer. Many entrepreneurs run personal expenses through the business to lower their taxes. They lease the car, pay for the family retreat, and buy the home office furniture. While this saves taxes today, it obscures the true profitability of the business. When a buyer looks at your books, they see low profits. You then have to explain, "Oh well, actually the profit is higher, let me explain these add-backs." Sophisticated buyers are skeptical of add-backs. They prefer clean books. For the 3 years prior to a planned exit, you should consider running clean books. Stop maximizing expenses. Show the profit. Pay the taxes. A higher documented profit line leads to a higher valuation multiple, which usually outweighs the tax cost in the long run. The exit strategy is not a lottery ticket. It is a deliberate engineering project. It takes 3 to 5 years to execute properly. If you are 62 and trying to sell a me-centric business to fund your retirement at 65, you are too late. The time to start building the exit ramp is now. We have now traversed the entire landscape. We have the legal disclaimers, the SEP and solo 401k vehicles, the HSA Health Fortress, the defined benefit heavy artillery, the taxable bridge, the 3-fund portfolio, the automation protocol, and the business exit strategy. You have all the pieces of the puzzle, but a puzzle scattered on the floor is just chaos. To finish this masterclass, we need to assemble these pieces into a coherent life cycle timeline. We need to map out exactly what you should do in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. We need to address the final psychological hurdle. Enough. How do you know when you have won the game so you can stop playing? In the final part of this series, we are going to bring it all home with the Master Plan, your decade-by-decade blueprint to freedom. We have arrived at the final chapter. Over the last 9 sessions, we have dismantled the machinery of the U.S. tax code, examined the engine of the solo 401k, and looked under the hood of the defined benefit plan. You now possess the technical knowledge that puts you ahead of 99% of business owners in this country. But knowledge without a timeline is just trivia. To turn these strategies into a fortress of wealth, you need to know which lever to pull and when to pull it. This is your master plan. We are going to map out the optimal strategy for every decade of your entrepreneurial life, from the hungry 20s to the golden 50s. Let's begin with the roaring 20s. If you are watching this and you are under the age of 30, you are what economists call a time billionaire. You might be cash poor, struggling to get your freelance videography business or your consulting gig off the ground, but you possess the one asset that Bill Gates and Warren Buffett cannot buy: time. Your strategy in your 20s is singular: aggressive Roth accumulation. At this stage, your income is likely the lowest it will ever be. That means your tax bracket is low. It makes 0 sense to take a tax deduction now. You want to pay the taxes on your seed money today so you never pay taxes on the harvest. Imagine you put $10,000 into a Roth solo 401k at age 25. At an 8% annual return, that single $10,000 contribution could grow to over $200,000 by age 65. Tax-free. If you wait until age 45 to save that same $10,000, it only grows to $46,000. You lost $150,000 of wealth simply by waiting. Your goal in your 20s is not to get rich. It is to build the compound interest engine. Even if you are eating ramen noodles, max out the Roth side of your accounts. Future, you will look back at this decade as the moment the war was won. Now we graduate to the thrifty 30s. This is often called the messy middle. This is where life gets expensive. You might be buying a home, getting married, or having children. The pressure on your cash flow intensifies. This is the decade where most entrepreneurs fall off the wagon. They start making real money, 6 figures, but they spend it all on lifestyle upgrades to prove they made it. Your strategy here shifts to the solo 401k and the HSA. As your income crosses the $100,000 mark, your tax bill starts to hurt. You need to start using the pre-tax deferrals to lower your adjusted gross income. But more importantly, This is the decade to bank the raises. If your business profit jumps from $100,000 to $150,000, do not upgrade your car. Take that entire $50,000 increase and shove it into the solo 401k. Keep your lifestyle fixed at your 20s level for as long as humanly possible. This creates a gap between your income and your expenses, the wealth gap, that fuels your freedom. Welcome to the fortified 40s. This is statistically your peak earning era. You have 10,000 hours of mastery. Your business has brand equity. You might be netting $300,000, $400,000, or $500,000 a year. The danger here is complacency. You feel rich so you stop tracking. Your strategy in your 40s is the bridge. You should be maxing out every tax-advantaged bucket, the $69,000 solo 401k limit, the HSA family limit. But that is no longer enough. You must aggressively fund the taxable brokerage account. Your goal in your 40s is to build a liquidity pool equal to 5 years of living expenses outside of retirement accounts. This gives you the FU money to walk away from bad clients, to pivot your business, or to weather a recession without touching your 401k. If you hit 45 and you have zero liquid investments, you are not wealthy, you are fragile. You are one bad business year away from ruin. The taxable bridge is your insurance policy against fragility. Finally, we enter the final stretch 50s. The finish line is visible. The IRS acknowledges that you are running out of time, so they unlock catch-up contributions. In 2024, if you are 50 or older, you can put an extra $7,500 into your solo 401k. That brings your total potential tax-deferred savings to nearly $77,000 a year. But for the high-net-worth business owner, the 50s are the prime time for the nuclear option we discussed in Part 5, the defined benefit plan. If your children are out of the house and your expenses are dropping, but your income is at an all-time high, you might be facing a massive tax problem. A defined benefit plan allows you to potentially shelter hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for these final 5 to 10 years. You can essentially compress 30 years of savings into this final decade. This is also when you execute the exit strategy. You start cleaning up your books. You stop running personal expenses through the company. You hire the operations manager. You prepare the asset for sale. But all of this, the accounts, the compounding, the tax strategies, leads to one single terrifying question that you must answer. How much is enough? The financial industry wants you to believe the number is moving. First it was 1 million, then 2 million. Now they say you need 5 million to retire. They want you to keep running on the hamster wheel because as long as you are running, they are collecting fees. You need to calculate your freedom number based on data, not fear. The academic standard is the 4% rule. Historical data suggests that if you have a balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds, you can withdraw 4% of the initial balance every year, adjusted for inflation, and have a very high probability of not running out of money for 30 years. Here is the math. Take your annual spending, your real spending, not your fantasy budget, and multiply it by 25. If you spend $100,000 a year to live a great life, your number is $2.5 million. Once you hit $2.5 million in liquid invested assets, you are technically work optional. If you keep working past that point, you are doing it for the love of the game, not for the money. Reaching this state changes your psychology. You stop making decisions out of fear. You stop taking clients who drain your energy just to pay the bills. You become a better business owner because you are operating from a position of ultimate leverage, the ability to say no. However, there is a warning label on this bottle. The transition from accumulator to spender is psychologically traumatic for entrepreneurs. You have spent 30 years wiring your brain to save, to build, to grow. The day you retire and start selling assets to buy groceries, your brain will scream that you are losing money. This is why the passive hold strategy we discussed, keeping your business and hiring a CEO, is often superior to a full exit. It provides cash flow without asset depletion, solving the psychological crisis of the withdrawal phase. We have covered a lot of ground, from the legal disclaimers to the complex actuarial tables of pension plans. Can feel overwhelming. You might be thinking, I'll start this next year. Do not do that. Next year is the thief of dreams. Every day you wait is a day that compound interest is working for someone else, not you. The system is designed to make you a consumer. It is designed to make you trade your hours for dollars until you are 65, pay your taxes, and die. As a self-employed American, you have chosen to opt out of that system. You have chosen the path of risk. You have chosen to eat what you kill. Now you must choose to keep what you kill. You do not need to do everything we discussed today. You do not need a defined benefit plan tomorrow. But you do need to open the solo 401k. You do need to separate your business and personal finances. You do need to set up the automated transfer. Start with one brick, then another, then another. Before you know it, you will not just have a retirement plan, you will have a legacy. The government has given you the tools. The market has given you the returns. The rest is up to you. Go build your fortress.